New published 2157 the 25th of June 2018, updated 2227 the 25th of June 2018. Lathe Yusuf Kenter 93-3 after the first session against Middlesex on day 1 of the county championship clash in Canterbury. Credit at Lathe 29 Archant. The ice cream stall on the grass bank at Canterbury's idyllic county ground was doing a brisk trade as the sky above turned a deeper shade of blue with every over bowled. Kent's Frank Woolley and Colin Cowdrey stands. Credit at Lathe 29 Middlesex were on the road again, facing Kent in a day-night county championship match on a sun-baked afternoon. It was the side's first county clash since the visitors' promotion from Division 2 back in 2011, when an infamous match that summer saw 23 wickets fall on a single day's play. We weren't far behind it in the last week of June 7 years on Kent's county ground, Canterbury. Credit at Lathe 29 But first the prologue in a Kentish heatwave. Many reclined on chairs on the gentle bank, lazing in the sun while the cricket commenced in front of them, heavy-lidded eyes falling slowly shut. With the welcome long hours of daylight available around the summer solstice, there is a rare opportunity to entice the public to watch pink ball cricket after work in convivial surroundings. Kent's county ground, Canterbury. Credit at Lathe 29 Given the vagaries of the English climate, such a bold attempt to lure punters through the gate with the chance to watch first-class cricket in the evening, it is difficult to tell whether the decision is bold or foolhardy. The fact such an admirable idea also has to vie with the World Cup in attempting to attract the paying spectator, as opposed to those watching England rout Panama by tediously hurling alcohol in the air at number of beer gardens up and down the county. If social media is anything to go by, it means there are hard choices to be made by many sports fans. However, if one were to venture past the hyperbole of the Three Lions, and venture down to places such as the wonderful St Lawrence ground, or Scarborough where Yorkshire are hosting Surrey, they would see a large number of cricket aficionados savouring every minute of our summer sport. Middlesex have reduced Kent to 193-8 at tea on day 1 of the county championship clash at Canterbury. Credit at Lathe 29 The old oak tree in the outfield may be long gone here at Canterbury, but the county has hosted cricket since a newspaper report recorded an 11A-side match played for a wager of 11 guineas a man as far back as 1705. Chaucer may have written about a bawdy pilgrimage from this town nearly a millennia ago, but there are enough Canterbury tales for everyone if one studies the stories played out on this historic ground, including the latest chapter unfolding in the encroaching gloom, with many observers insisting the visitors were hard done by having to bat in such poor light, citing the subsequent loss of 9 wickets as proof of that. The history of this match is the history of the game, with plentiful tales spread over the 216 matches between the pair stretching across 3 centuries. Kent and England icon Sir Colin Cowdrey. Credit at Lathe 29 One look at the honours boards in the Colin Cowdrey stand was enough to convince the visitor you can sense the spirit of every yeoman who has played the game. Legends existed in ink and paint everywhere you cared to look, with the names on the list of double-century makers in the middle floor, or the well-appointed Cowdrey stand as redolent of the golden age of cricket as the number of outgrounds listed where they made their immortal scores. With, sadly, a significant amount no longer with us, lost to the march of time and no doubt a proper developer or two over the years. Kent's Frank Woolley stand. Credit at Lathe 29 They honour the heroes here, with boards lauding Alan Mott and Derek Underwood, as well as the wonderfully aged Frank Woolley stand, complete with a red phone box sans phone standing proudly as another reminder of a bygone age, but one worth preserving under the gaze of the futuristic new floodlights benignly looking down. the use redundant on such a hot, bright afternoon. Thankfully, even if the late flurry of Middlesex wickets to fall saw many unhappy with the light despite the floodlights being in use. The woolly stand is full of character in its very brickwork and iron, and its air of gentle decay seems not to detract from its essence but, rather, add to it. Kent's Honours Board. Credit at Levy 29. The pale cream hues blending perfectly with the setting sun and long shadows on the manicured outfield. Middlesex came down the M2 to Kent on the back of a staring, if improbable, one-wicket victory 48 hours previously up the M1 in Leicestershire after being set a challenging 381 to win in the second innings. At the end of day 3 they still required 299 runs with only 7 wickets remaining. But they overcame a spirited Grace Road attack to triumph on Saturday evening. Kent's scoreboard. Credit at Levy 29. Kent for the part had Lords on their mind after fighting the way through to the Royal London one-day final 5 days hence. The club's sterling work behind the scenes from such luminaries as Alan Donald as well as Matt Walker, Mint Patel and Paul Downton deserving a mention in dispatches for transforming the one-day ambitions from harmless bystanders to genuine contenders. Central to that have been up-and-coming players such as former Seags's youngster Harry Podmore as well as former Middlesex batsman Joe Denley. Podmore played his part on day 1 against his previous club, leading a lower-order renaissance with a jaunty 32 from 31 balls as Kent lurched from various precarious positions at 6 to 114 and 7 to 134 to rally somewhat, ending on 241 all out. The total was also guided by a disciplined knock of 42 from Adam Rouse, who surely is another who has sealed his place in Saturday's eagerly awaited final. The Middlesex bowlers toiled in the sun to make it a hard day's night in a bid to establish a platform to win the second game on the road in a week, with James Fuller the pick of the bunch with 4-286 on a hot afternoon, where the occasional cooling breeze was as welcome as a cold drink. Yet the reply with Willow saw them subside to 19-3 after Grant Stewart claimed a trio of wickets to boast figures of 3-6 at one point before ending the day on 5-21, his best figures. He listed as his victims former England opener Sam Robson, who sadly can't buy many runs at the moment after he departed for 2, and current England batsman Doyd Mallon for a 2-ball duck. Sandwiched between the two dismissals was the faintly ludicrous sight of the batsman going for due to a low sun. Only cricket offers the prospect of such lampoonery, but then only cricket beguiles the way it does as an impending twilight was welcomed by many, if not the unfortunate Robson, who was out moments before. As it was, the batsmen were soon back on the square, but only after the great and the good stood near the wicket scratching their heads pondering how they could move the sun. Nobody much minded the World Cup, as play progressed to a 9:50 p.m. daylight finish watched by a fair number of spectators who were still in attendance. The final session enthralled as the visitors struggled on, attempting to avoid losing further wickets as it became progressively more difficult to pick the ball out of the encroaching gloom. An unimpressed Mallon said afterwards it was like playing in two different rooms as Middlesex failed in their endeavours to keep a foothold in the match they had worked so hard to provide. Bad light and a dark ball notwithstanding, they ended the day with the whiff of a team that loses a game after one poor session, finishing 9 down. With only 54 on the board, in an echo of the infamous day 7 years ago at Lord's when an improbable 23 wickets fell on day 1. It was that sort of match. It was that sort of day. Follow Lathe on Twitter at Lathe29.